Hello and welcome to Patrick's Models. Today we're going to have a look at this Jouef HO scale 187 of course, SNCF French State Railways DQD2 baggage car. This is a very simple model which I have improved with buffers at the back. I made my own buffers. It's got homemade buffers at the back because it was a very toy-like model, dating back to the days when I had very simplified things without buffers for toy trains. Because the less things there were on a toy train, the less things would have broken off when kids were playing with them. So anyway, I added buffers on this. Anyway, what's the problem? The problem is that this has got rear illumination. You can see, got rear lights, and the bulb, I thought the bulb had fused. So I had a quick look inside and checked if the bulb was working or not. So I'm going to move over there and we're going to have a look at it now. Okay, so to access the innards, you just take the roof off, and here's the inside of the car. As you can see, I've added some tire weights to give it extra weight and to improve the contact on the rails. And here's the bulb. Which bulb I thought had fused. The bulb sits down in a slot and it shines through this red lens, illuminating the rear lights. So I had a quick look at the bulb, but I tested it on my 9-volt battery after cleaning the contacts of it, and I discovered that it wasn't fused, it was just dirty. As you can see, it's not really very oxidized. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to clean this with my fiberglass pencil, which is in the drawer over here. What is it? Ah, here it is. Anyway, so let's have a quick clean. Let's add the extra specs because I'm pushing 50 and seeing things close up is not one of the easiest things. I better move that. That's an important bit of paper. That's a receipt that has to be kept for the taxman. So we'll have a quick look at this now and clean this contact. I hope you can actually see. We're just working on a mobile phone now. I'm trying to not cover it with my fingers. Let's see if we can manage to give that a good clean now, and we'll probably also use some lighter fluid to take away the oxidation. But the fiberglass pencil is a fantastic tool for cleaning oxidized contacts, oxidized and very dirty wheels. It's a wonderful thing. Very cheap. Bought it online on the well-known shop, online shop called like a forest in South America. I'm not doing anybody any adverts, am I? So I think I paid it something like €12, and it came with 3 or 4 extra refills. So I'm giving this a good clean. The only thing, when you are using the fiberglass pencil, it's always better to clean very carefully your work surface, because there are little strands of fiberglass that come off. So give it a good clean afterwards with a damp cloth, or use the portable vacuum if you've got one, or whatever it is. So anyway, I'm giving this a good clean, and then we'll see if we can just put it back in and if it works. Another bit, it's a bit of a fiddle. I hope you can see what I'm doing here now, because this is one of I'm right at the beginning. So it's not a case of in at the deep end, because cleaning the contacts of a light bulb is nothing complicated. But in future videos we'll go through some more complex things, opening motors, modifying repairing missing buffers, everything in DIY. So not using any newfangled 3D printers. As much as I would like to learn about 3D printing, I do not have the physical space to install a 3D printer in this room of mine. So I prefer the old school approach. So working with styrene, with pieces of wire, with all sorts of other odds and ends, and with using classical old school modelling techniques and trying to get the best result, often employing material that would be considered rubbish, or as I say, yeah, that's it. I think that's a bit better. We'll have a look at that. It's a little bit cleaner. So we might even give that a spruce with a spot of lighter fluid. And the cotton bud, I see, that came very nice. Another bit. So anyway, this is my interest in model trains dates back to when I was a kid, when I was 4 actually, when my father bought me my first train set. And I've always liked the traditional analog kit. I spend enough time in front of a computer working, so I'm not really interested in running my hobby with a computer. That's more computers. If I can get off the computer, it's over there by the way, when I'm in my free time, I prefer to do so. So with me, you'll be seeing old school, I like this word, don't I? Old fashioned, let's say, analog vintage trains. And it's a bit strange, you know, you're calling vintage stuff that was in production when I was a kid. So it means that if the trains are vintage, I'm even more vintage. Okay, so that's a bit cleaner. Let's see if that's enough. Give it, let's use an old cloth here, give that clean. And we'll pop it back in here. Screw it back in. Trying to not cover this with my hands, of course, otherwise you just get a... Okay, so that's in position. And now we'll just go on directly on the two contacts. You can see there are the two contacts here. Electricity is picked up by one set of wheels on each bogie. So we've got, on each bogie there are two plastic wheels on one side and two metal wheels on another. The electrical pickup is here on the axle. And I dropped the pencil on the floor, that's a bright idea. So we'll just use this as a pointer. And you can see this is one polarity, and here's the other polarity over here. And here's the pickup. It's always a good idea to apply, to keep the contacts clean, and to apply a spot of technical petroleum jelly on the pickups, because this guarantees good lubrication to the axle, and technical petroleum jelly is also conductive, so you get a good electrical conductivity. It's an excellent product, even for motors. If it goes on the brushes, it doesn't cause problems. So let's see if this thing is lighting up. Trusty old 9 volt battery. Let's see if that's working. Is it? Oh yes, it is. There we go. Free flicker. It's not a very bright bulb, but I think you can see that it's working. Okay, so that's repaired. This here gets slotted back in here. I don't think I need to, I think the fiberglass pencil was more than enough to do this little maintenance job. And we just have to pop this here back into the slot, like so, without breaking the thing, because we don't want to break anything. And you just post it in like that. You just push it in, and this here shines on the light conducting plastic, the red lens, and so that's that. So we'll put the roof back on. I bought this second hand and it was lacking the screw. There's a brass screw that goes through there and screws into the top of the roof. And I actually ordered one of them because I looked through all the screws I have, you know. I am a DIY man, so I always keep screws, but I've looked through all the screws in my possession and there's no such thing that can fit this. So, no use. So, it's going to come in the post. I bought it on another famous online platform. One that ends in B. Okay, so that's ready. And we're going to pop that on the layout and test it. This system, it's, to be honest, it's not the best pickup system. So it kind of tends to flicker. It's not really very good. There are much better models regarding the lights with the conductivity, but it's not bad. It's not bad. This isn't bad, and it's much improved with the buffers. I'll actually post at the end of this video, I'll post a few photographs showing how I made the buffers. These buffers have been cut out of styrene. I modelled the size more or less on another Jouef carriage of the same vintage, and I actually fitted the kind of plastic kind of cap, or cut from a plastic cap, those plastic protective caps of paintbrushes. I just glued that on top of the little knobs that were supposed to represent the buffers on this toy, and I just glued them on using this fantastic glue, Glue and Glaze. This is a great glue. It doesn't leave traces. It's specific for the transparent parts in components and model kits. Water based, and you can clean it just with using a toothpick and a water impregnated cotton bud. This is great. And then I glued the buffer on top, and the result is actually quite nice, quite realistic. Maybe it's a tad thicker than it would be, you know, it's a bit out of scale, but it's not bad at all, and the result's quite nice. So I will go and pop that, we'll cut that here, and we'll go and put this here on the layout and see if it works.